like as a sport, instead of playing like soccer and football, I was racing karts professionally. I was on pace to go to like world finals in Egypt and stuff like that. Yeah, it was crazy. Like it was super illegal. Like cops were raiding every single party. Like kids were out there doing all sorts of stuff. So I listened to it, and it's literally the hook of Flo Rida, and he's like, it's going down for real. And I'm like, what?
Hi, this is Lauren Engel of Sidewalk Talk. I'm here with Lucas.
What's up, YouTube people? YouTube world, hello. What's good?
So you were born in Miami, right?
Yeah, born and raised.
Were your parents born there as well?
In the 305. No, my mom is from Oklahoma, and my dad's from Brazil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
They met in the U.S. though?
Yeah, my mom went to Brazil as a foreign exchange, and then my dad was driving in a car with a bunch of girls, and my mom was in a car with a bunch of girls and some dude driving.
Yeah.
And my dad told the dude, yo, let's trade cars.
What?
Yeah, and they traded cars, and they just went to, I guess, like a beach thing, and then that's how they met.
Damn. What made them move to Miami?
I think my grandparents wanted to move because they're from Panama, and I don't know. I don't really know the reason why they went to Miami, but that's how I came about in Miami. I don't know.
What do they do?
My mom works at an insurance company, and my dad's been a PE coach at an elementary school for like 30 plus years.
Oh, are they creative though?
Yeah, definitely. My dad is very creative. I used to race karts. He was a race car driver in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And was like, it's always been his dream of his to be a race car driver. So when I was younger, like as a sport, instead of playing like soccer and football, I was racing karts professionally.
Damn. Wait,
Yeah.
what age was this?
From like 9 years old to about when I was 18.
Damn.
Yeah, I raced for like 9 years. And
like super competitive?
yeah, like
wow.
It was serious stuff. I was actually on pace to going, like I was racing with an Indy 500 winner, Dan Weldon. He was my teammate, and I was on pace to go to like world finals in Egypt and stuff like that. Yeah, it was crazy. Like it's like minor league baseball, you know, like you play for so many years, then you get picked up by a team. It's the same thing. Like it's like a smaller division of racing that like the big teams find talent and pick them up and put them into like bigger leagues of racing and stuff like that. And he was my teammate, and Dan Weldon, and ended up passing away in an accident. Oh. And at that point, my dad was like, "Yeah, it's not for us anymore. Racing's very dangerous."
Wow.
So I definitely decided to stop that. I still do it once in a while. They have like little indoor karting places that are fun to go to. It's still a passion of mine, but definitely not a good sport. That's not a safe sport.
Yeah. Wow.
But definitely that's how I got into all that. My dad's super creative with being a mechanic and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do like piano and drums, and is it guitar or?
Yeah. I mostly play the piano. I started playing piano when I was like 6 years old. And I was playing like all kinds of like classical stuff and like Bach and Beethoven and all sorts. And I did that for like 8 years, and I was doing like piano recitals and stuff like that. And then I got kind of bored of it. I was like, I'm tired of playing classical music. I tried to learn guitar and stuff like that, but I never really got into it like heavy.
For the piano, was that something that, I guess your parents just like gave you classes, right?
Yeah, my sister played the piano, so like my mom wanted me to get into piano, I guess, when I was little. And I loved it, and I was really good at it. And I like picked it up really quickly. And then, once I got older, I kind of stopped. And then it's funny because I didn't play piano for so many years. And it's like now I almost have to like relearn how to play piano. Yeah. But it's almost like riding a bike, you know. I still know like my motor functions, you know, like I know how to play chords and stuff like that. But there's always more to learn, for sure.
How do you describe yourself back then growing up?
I was a crazy kid.
Yeah.
I was a troublemaker, for sure. I was the biggest troublemaker in my family. I was crazy.
What do you do?
I definitely did a lot of stuff in high school that I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I dropped out of high school my senior year, and ended up getting in some trouble. Tried to go to college, didn't do well in college, dropped out of college.
What were you like on? Were you undecided, or did you have like a major that you were about
No
to
way,
study?
I had no idea what I was doing. Look at these guys.
Was the college also in Miami?
Yeah, Miami-Dade College.
Oh.
And,
But you had no interest in that. Your parents like.
I was
kept watching
doing
you.
music classes.
Oh.
I was doing like they had like a production class where they teach you how to like record on like Pro Tools and stuff like that. And that was pretty cool. But I met some friends there, Smile, Louis and Ruben. They're in a group called Smile,
yeah.
SMLE. And I met them there and started hanging out, making music together. And I would end up skipping class to just go produce music at their house and stuff like that. So I ended up like failing all my classes and wasting my parents' money and all that stuff. So they were pissed at me. So I needed to pay them back, and I wasn't making any money at the time. So I ended up getting a job at my mom's insurance company. And it's a funny story. It was 7. I have to wake up at 6 to get there at 7. I had to wake up to a stack of like 800 papers that I'd have to like file in numbers all day from like 7 to 5 p.m. of like stacks of 800 papers and stuff like that. And I would never get it all done. There's no way. Because I'd be up to like 4 a.m. working on music. I'd like fall asleep at the job and stuff like that. So I ended up getting fired from that job. And then I was just a lost cause for my parents.
Yeah.
And I told them, I was like, Mom, Dad, like give me a year. Like just give me a year. Let me focus on like what I want to do, you know? And working on music.
Yeah.
And they didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And it's kind of crazy how it all happened so fast, you know?
Yeah. What kind of music were your parents playing in the house when you were growing up?
Oh, man. A lot of James Taylor, Javan, it's a Brazilian artist. Man, all kinds of music. My dad loves like Phil Collins, The Police. What was the band Phil Collins was in? I forgot the band name. Genesis.
Oh.
My dad loved Genesis. And like classic rock and stuff like that.
What was the first CD you bought? Do you remember?
Oh my God, I think it was Linkin Park.
Oh, so
Hybrid
you were like more
Theory.
into like bands.
Yeah, so my brother, he's like 30 something now. He's like over 10 years older than me. He was like he was also a bad kid too. So I learned, I feel like I got a lot of my troublemaker side is from my brother for sure. And he would listen to a lot of punk rock and like ska music, like bands like Strung Out, Rise Against. And that's how I got like more into rock and those kinds of genres.
Yeah.
My brother also loved rap and like Eminem and stuff like that.
Were you in bands?
He was in a band, yeah. I was never in a band. I just kind of did piano. I was kind of all over the place.
At what point did you start like listening to more like electronic stuff?
Definitely towards like my high school years. It was when like when I was like a junior in high school. I remember that, or no, maybe like sophomore, freshman. I don't remember. I remember like Steve Aoki Warp was like the biggest record. Like 1, 2, whoop, whoop. And everyone loved that song, and it was blowing up. And like people also hated electronic music at that time. Like it was not like a trendy thing like it is nowadays, you know? It was more of like a niche like genre of music that only like, you know, that one group of kids in the school liked, you know?
Yeah.
It was more hip hop and rock and stuff like
So
that.
you're kind of listening to it on your own?
Yeah, I mean I loved it, and I was listening to like all my friends loved it too, so it was like we were listening to a lot of like Axwell and Ingrosso, like before Swedish House Mafia was Swedish House Mafia. like Leave the World Behind and all that kind of progressive house stuff was like huge back then. And that was like right when Ultra like was starting to get bigger. And I remember it was like 2011 was the first Ultra I got into. I had to sneak into it because I couldn't afford tickets. My parents wouldn't give me money.
Damn.
Yeah, so I
How
had to
long
like.
ago was this?
2011, so
Yeah.
like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. It's crazy.
Wow.
And I had to jump that fence. It was a massive fence.
Damn.
And I remember it was like a group of like 20 of us, and we just all mobbed the fence. And like half of it broke down. We all jumped it, and everybody just ran in.
Wow, and you weren't caught, I guess.
No, I dipped. I ran so fast. Nobody was catching me for sure. I ran right into the main stage crowd, and there was nobody getting me. When I remember I got to see Skrillex for the first time, and that was really sick. And then I got to see like it was like Swedish House Mafia before they were Swedish House Mafia. They were like playing as a trio, but it wasn't really. They didn't have like the brand or anything.
Yeah.
That was really awesome to see. Energy was insane.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, yo, this is it. Actually, the first concert I ever went to, I was in Cancun, Mexico, with my friend and his family and my family. And I was like, I must have been like 14. And Tiesto was playing on the beach in Cancun. And my friend like loved Tiesto, and I was like, I'm down, let's go.
Yeah.
And like they didn't care about drinking in Mexico at all, like your age or anything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we just got hammered. And I saw Tiesto live on the beach in Cancun. It was so sick. That was really awesome. That was my first like EDM festival kind of thing.
Did you go by a different moniker when you first started?
A different what?
Like a different name, like Lucas. Like before Lucas, do you have a different?
DJ Lookas Rigo. My name. It's pretty cringe.
Why do you drop everything else?
When I started making my own music,
Yeah.
I didn't like at the time I was like maybe 16, and I was DJing like house parties and stuff. I used to like throw like major ragers. It's funny, it rhymes. I'm gonna use that now. I'm gonna make
Major
a party and call it the Major Rager. Sick. And no, I used to throw house parties in Miami that were like insane. I'd pay like somebody like $200 to let me use their house. And at the time, like on Facebook, you could invite like hundreds and thousands of people on to your event.
Yeah.
So we'd get like all these kids together that had like a bunch of Facebook friends, and you just spam invites to like everyone. And I'd like let people in for free if they invited friends and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I was essentially like promoting my own little club party thing.
How are you
and I would
affording
DJ
this?
them. I would pay like $200,
Oh, and they would pay entrance fee. Like,
and I would
yeah.
charge entrance fees.
Damn,
So
that's
we'd
so
profit,
smart.
and we'd slam out like a house. Like they were known to be like the craziest parties, and I would always DJ them. But they would
You
always.
were like 19, right?
I was like 16.
Oh, 16.
Yeah, my parents had no idea what I was doing. It was super illegal. Like cops were raiding every single party. Like
What?
kids were out there doing all sorts of stuff, crazy stuff.
Damn, and you were never caught?
No, I never got in trouble. I always dipped. As soon as the
Damn,
cops
you're
got
so
there.
good at running away from everything, like Ultra and then this.
Oh yeah. So I was a little degenerate for sure. And the cops would come, and I'd just pack my stuff, throw it in the trunk of like my buddy's truck, and just drive. We just take the money and run, and we just do it every weekend until it got to the point where like the cops were definitely like onto us
Yeah.
because it was becoming like a
You had problems with the houses probably also, were they trashed?
yeah, they'd always
Yeah.
be trashed. They didn't care though. It was like the houses that we would be using were not in the best neighborhoods.
Oh, so at least they got like paid for it.
Yeah, they would just take the $200. I'm like, I would tell them in advance. I'd be like, yo, your house is probably gonna get trashed. We wouldn't use the inside. We just use the backyard.
Oh.
Yeah, so we just fill up the backyard. I remember there was one party where like, the cops showed up, and I was in the front like talking to some people, and the cops just walk up to us and they raid it, and I was like, whatever. Like I knew it was gonna happen anyway. So like they just see the amount of people walking out from the backyard, and they were like, remember the guy told me, he's like, honestly, I'm not even mad Like, you guys are fine. We're not gonna like arrest anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that you could fit that many people in this backyard. And I was like, awesome. That's really cool to hear.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I miss those days. Like, they eventually got onto us though. Like, before the party would even start, like the cops would be there.
Oh wow.
Like, and so they were like on Facebook finding the parties like before they even happened and stuff like that.
True.
So we ended up like having to stop doing them.
Yeah.
But I definitely, it like that whole idea and concept, like it was crazy for me to be doing at such a young age. It was like, I don't know, it was a crazy thing. And I want to do it again, like now with my fan base and all that stuff. I feel like it'd be really cool.
Oh, that would be really
like
sick.
a house party tour or something like
Yeah.
that, right? I feel like house parties
my
are
God,
such a
yeah.
different vibe
Yeah.
than like a club venue.
Yeah, it's more intimate.
Yeah, like there's house venues all around the country that you could use and stuff like that. More like a club venue, but it's a house, you know?
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool.
And then in your like year that you had to prove to your parents, were you basically like still living with them so you didn't have like many costs?
Oh yeah, exactly. I was
Yeah.
living at home for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't anywhere else.
What was
so.
the first like kind of small or like big break you got?
Yeah, so I remember it was the Tsunami remix by Dubs and Borges.
Yeah.
I had worked on it with my buddy Helter Skelter, and he had sent me the track before it was like released. It was an ID still. I remember I heard it and I was like, this song's insane. Like, this is gonna be like one of the biggest records of all time. And he was like, yeah, we should remix it before it even releases,
Oh.
so that we have a remix ready to go.
Oh wow, yeah.
And at the time, that was when like Carnage had made like his Hardwell remix, which was huge, like festival trap remix. It was like festival trap was like really blowing up. So we had made the Tsunami remix, and then we couldn't get it approved because we had ripped it from a Hardwell radio show. And so we just threw it up as a bootleg on SoundCloud. I guess back then, like everyone used SoundCloud. So I'll never forget it. I was at a party. I was at some house party and I was on my phone. And my phone just started blowing up because I'll never forget it. AFK Music, you know AFK,
Yeah.
the dubstep producer?
Yeah.
He reposted our remix,
Oh, wow.
or a preview of our remix. It's like a 30-second clip, and it like blew up completely. And my phone was just like constant notification, blowing up so hard, and it did like 300,000 views in like a day and a half.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then that blew up, and then we released the full remix when the song dropped, and then that like blew everything up.
Yeah. And then it started having a team, like you didn't have a manager.
Yeah, so then Ethan, my manager, ended up when he heard it, I don't know, he saw something in me and he hit me up and he was like, yo, I'd been talking to a few other people to manage me, but nothing was really promising. I didn't really know what I was doing either. Like I didn't know what a manager even did for me at the time. I was just like making music. I told him, I was like, yo, the only way that we're going to be able to work together is if you talk to my parents and convince them that this is like a real thing. So he's like, yeah, I got you. And he talked to my parents and like convinced them.
How long ago was this?
Oh man, that was like 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty sweet.
And then after that, how are you able to get your music like more and more out there? And what were like the bigger milestones you had after that?
Yeah, I just kept making remixes and like working on originals like with that same like festival trap sound, and they just kept doing really well. Like we had gotten it on YouTube with Trap Nation. Shout out Trap Nation for supporting me. And like those songs have like 15-20 million plays on YouTube. So that really like took things off for me. And I just kept putting out music. And the more and more I kept putting out music, the more and more people started liking it. I started touring, started playing shows, and like it just kind of everything just grew exponentially.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty crazy.
How did the song with Flo Rida come about?
Oh man, so I had remixed Low Rider by War, the George Lopez theme song. I didn't think anything would come about of it. Like that remix blew up, and I remember I was out here. I had just moved here. I was living in Burbank for like 6 months. I was going to Icon collective, the
Oh my gosh.
production
Yeah.
school.
So many people have.
And I was in the studio and I was writing a song, and I get an email from my manager with a link, and it was like a private link. He's like, don't show this to anyone, but let me know your thoughts. And I was like, all right. So I listened to it, and it's literally the hook of Flo Rida, and he's like, it's going down for real. And I'm like, what? I'm like, it didn't say Flo Rida either.
Yeah.
And it sounded like Flo Rida, and I was like, is this Flo Rida? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and I knew immediately. I was like, this is a hit record. Like, it's gonna be insane. I don't know. That's just kind of how it came about, and it kind of like ripped the entire remix idea, and they used it and made a hit record out of it. So.
And what was your reaction when you heard it on the NBA?
I was excited. I was like, this is insane. This is gonna be on the radio everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I knew instantly it was a hit record.
How about for the NBA?
Yeah. So when I heard it, that was when the Heat was playing. So Miami was going crazy. That was when the Heat were playing. I forgot who they were playing, the Spurs or something? I don't remember. But it was like the NBA Finals. And they play. It was the song of the NBA Finals. Like every commercial break, every time the NBA, the actual showing came back on after a commercial, they play that song. And then it was in the Super Bowl. It was in a scene of Deadpool. You know the strip club scene? It was in that scene. That was really cool to see. It was in a bunch of movies. Pretty crazy.
Wow.
Surreal. And one of the most surreal moments was like when I knew like this is the real deal, was when I was with my parents and we were out here and they were helping me like go to IKEA or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we got in the car and the first song that came on was GDFR, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Wow, that's really like to prove to them like after that whole like.
And yeah, they were so
needs
shocked.
To find a job.
Exactly, yeah. They're at that moment they're like, damn, this is real life.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. It's lit.
Yeah. Was that more of a conscious decision for you to work with more like hip hop artists, or was it kind of just like thrown your way?
I was just doing whatever. Like I'm still doing that. Like I'm just kind of doing whatever I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to like making a song, like I'm just gonna make a song that I want to make, you know?
Yeah.
Like whatever comes to my mind or whatever sound ends up becoming, like it is what it is, you know? So whatever sounds good to me, I'm just gonna put out, you know?
How do you think your music has changed since the early songs you made?
Definitely my whole style is changing. I took like a year off because like I love the music that I've made, and I love like that sound, that bass. Like I love the bass scene, I love the bass community. I love the shows, the energy that they bring to the shows, like all the fans. Like I love it. It's fun. But I don't see myself like being in that genre of music my whole career, you know? I don't want to just only make bass bangers my whole life, you know? So definitely want to change. I definitely want to just change my style up and just make music, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just make records that are dope and that I think is dope.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know what style I'm going to make next. I might make a hip hop record. I might make a house track. I might make an R&B song.
Yeah.
Maybe a folk record, polka or something, you know?
Oh my god.
A country song. I'll sing it.
Yes. What would you say have been your biggest challenges so far?
Touring is definitely hard. Definitely relationships are hard.
Yeah.
Keeping relationships with people, even friends in general, girlfriends, stuff like that is hard to keep. Like, definitely being an artist and holding relationships with friends that, like, are still in your hometown, like, doing the same old thing. Like, it's hard to keep in, like, touch with everyone when you're so busy meeting so many new people. It's like, it's almost overwhelming when you're meeting so many new people all the time. It's hard to keep in touch with everybody, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely a challenge of this life, for sure.
How would you say you've grown as a person since when you started?
Well, it's crazy because I never really got an education.
Mm-hmm.
So like this has been my education, like learning about the industry, learning about what it takes to be like the best, you know, like what it takes to perfect your craft, like to learn production, to learn music theory, like to learn how to grow relationships with people and like work well with people you've never met before. even doing interviews like this is like crazy to me. This is like my 3rd interview ever. It's awesome.
What does success look like to you?
Lamborghinis. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't really know. Success for me is accomplishing goals that I set, and to continue to set goals for myself and accomplish them. I feel like that's just something I'm gonna live by my whole life. Like I want to make last year I only put out like 3 records. This year I want to put out at least 1 song a month.
Oh wow.
So like I'm gonna be working really hard to do that. And I remember I had tweeted it. I was like, I'm gonna put out a song every month, and if I don't do it, at me. Like, let me know.
Yeah.
Don't let me fuck up here. So, nah, definitely that's a goal of mine. I'm gonna do it, and I want to end up like getting to the point where I'm gonna write an album. You know, I want to put together like a really cool body of work that I love. You know.
Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
What do I want to be remembered for? Not being that
success.
guy. Not being that guy. Damn, I don't know. That's a hard question.
Yeah.
How kind and generous I can be to people.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't care if people remember me for my music or not. It's just something that I like to do, and I'm going to continue to do.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No.
Oh, sweet. Bye, guys.